So once you're in your stance, we're going to talk about moving forward and moving back. So when you move forward, you want to lead with your front leg. Because I'm an orthodox boxer, which means I'm a right-hander, my front leg's my left leg. So move forward with your front leg, a small little step, and then follow with your back leg like so. So all the moves in boxing, they're always a 1-2 movement. Now when I'm going backwards, same but different. I'm going to lead with my back leg because I'm going backwards and follow with my front leg. 1-2. Now if you just notice what I've done there, the steps aren't great big huge steps. Now if you do that like this, you're going to lose your balance. We want our feet always to stay as close as shoulder width as possible. So the first step's going to be a little bit greater than shoulder width, and then back to shoulder width. That's forward and back, nice and easy. 1-2, 1-2, just like so. Now practice that a few times till you get used to it, and then you can start making it more into a rhythm. So it's not 1, 2, it comes out together. Just like you're walking down the street. 1-2, and you're in your stance. 1-2, and you're in your stance. So that's a linear, forward and back. Now we're going to go through side to side. Now, similar deal. When I want to go out to my lead side, again, because I'm a right-hander, my lead side's going to be my left. I lead with my front leg, 1, follow with my back leg, 2. Now, when I want to go to my back side, for me it's my right side. Lead with my back leg or my right leg, 1, 2, just like so. Do that one more time. 1, 2, in my stance. Now you don't see the tape here, but there is a space between my legs. To the back side, 1, 2. Now common mistakes I see all the time in the boxing gym, people crossing their lines. So what that means, if you're going forward, you're doing this, or you're bringing your feet closer than shoulder width apart. Now what that does from here, gives you no balance. If you were to get pushed or to get punched, you lose your balance and you become out of your stance. Now, again, same thing side to side. If I'm going to my back side, I don't want to lead with my front leg and do that. Or if I'm going to my lead side, I don't want to lead with my back leg and do that. Cross the lines. Always keep that space between your legs. All right, next thing we're going to touch on, that was the steps. Now we're going to practice walking in your stance. So making it a little bit more into a rhythm. So I'm going to start back here and just practice walking forward. Now the key word here is walking. So you want to make it like a walk. So if you're walking down the street, you don't go stop, stop. You put one foot in front of the other and you don't think about it. Same thing with your stance. Now it's going to take practice for it to come natural, but practice makes perfect. In your stance like this, little 1-2 steps, you just do it continuous. When you get to the end of your mark, and then from there, you're going to go backwards, leading with that back leg. Little steps back. Just like so. Practice that a few times forward and backwards. Get nice and comfortable with it. And that's the idea. Now again guys, if you notice my steps are nice and short. Just like if you see athletes, if they're doing any agility work and they're going around the cones, they don't take great big steps all the time. Their steps are nice and short. And same thing with boxing. Because it is a sport that requires a lot of agility and a lot of kind of fast twitch fibers for your reactions, we want our steps to be short so we can change direction at any point. So little steps from here, then I can go back, I can go forward, and then you can play around with it. Now the exact same thing, moving laterally, side to side. So in your stance, going out to my lead side, little steps till I get to the end of my mark, and then back the other way. Little step, that's it. I can change direction at any point. Just like so. Now once you get comfortable with that, you can start to put them in different combinations. Forward, back, left and right. And that's the idea. Just like when you're working the bag or you're in a realistic boxing situation, it rarely stays still, or the person rarely stays still and stays hit me. Even when you're working the heavy bag is going to move. So there's no point knowing all your punches or being really good at throwing your punches if you can't land the punches. And the key to landing the punches is to able to be mobile. Boom, boom, like so. Your feet take you there where you become dangerous, and your feet also take you out of danger if your opponent's punching. The last thing we're going to touch on is skipping in your stance. So all these fundamentals always remain the same, but you can do them at different rhythms. The slowest rhythm would be the step. A little bit of a quicker rhythm is what we've done just before, which is the walking. one continuous motion. Now the quickest rhythm with your boxing footwork is what I like to call skipping. So it's the exact same thing, you just pick up the intensity slightly. So I'm going forward, becomes a skip forward. If I'm going back, becomes a skip back. I'll show you side to side if I'm going to the side. And same thing to the other side, my back side. Now, you can pick and choose when you do this type of footwork. If the pace is a little bit slower, you can practice your steps like so, or if it's a little bit quicker or your opponent's rushing at you or the bag's coming back quick, you can do it quick and get back to your stance when you're ready to rock and roll. That's it guys, that's Boxing Footwork 101. Like I said before, practice makes perfect, so repeat it again until you're absolutely sick of it, and that's how it's going to be burnt in your brain. Now, a lot of good fighters, when you're first learning, it's going to be a thought process. My stance, my elbows, my chin down, you have to process a lot of things. Through repetition, it becomes muscle memory. And once it's muscle memory, you're no longer thinking about the technique, you start to think about strategy and putting all the different moves we're going to learn in this YouTube channel together so you become a better boxer.
Pag sumakit ang lower chan, huwag tsanbahan. Sigaw mo ito na kasanayan. Para sa pool, i-buskupan. Tanggal ang hilab, ipit, at tusok. Init. Sa pulapin,
Alright, let's get started with our stance. Now the first thing you want to establish, if you're an orthodox or a southpaw. Now if you're a right-hander, you're going to step back with your right leg, like so. That means you're an orthodox boxer. If you're a left-hander, you're going to step back with your left leg, like so. And that means you're a southpaw boxer. Now I'm a right-hander, so I'm orthodox, so I'm going to step back with my right leg. Now with our stance, you want to make sure your feet are roughly shoulder width apart. You want to have a slight bend in your legs, and that's for your balance. The next thing we want to do is rest your elbows on your ribs, bring your hands to your chest, and the last thing is bring your head to your hands. So your chin comes down, look through your eyebrows, and that's your stance. Now the reason we rest our elbows on our ribs is to be protected from body shots, and we have our hands up and our chin down, so our chin's protected by our hands. Now once we've got our boxing stance, we have to establish our front side and our back side. So our front side is the arm and the leg closest to your opponent, leg, and your back side is the arm and the leg furthest from your opponent, and that's usually your power side. Now from here, we're going to talk about our punches. Our first type of punch is the straight punches. So with our straight punches, we've got the jab and the cross. Two basic shots. Now the jab is done with your front hand or your lead hand, and all you simply do is turn your thumb down, rotate, and extend your arm all the way out. And just make sure your shoulder protects your chin and your non-punching hand is up. So it goes from A, out to B, back to A. Then we're just going to do it a few times. Boom. Just like that. Boom. Nice and relaxed. Comes out, comes back. Start it slow, and as you get used to it, you can start to pick up the pace, and just making sure you're nice and relaxed in between your punches, and you take the tension away.